My name is Art Sanborn. I'm with Youth with a Mission Tampa, and I am inviting you today to rise and shine.
Good morning. It's time to rise and shine with Jolene Merrick of Sunrise Productions. Grab your favorite hot morning beverage, curl up in front of the fireplace, and listen into the conversation. Now, here's Jolene.
Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon Tampa, and not only that, Thailand, and to the ends of the earth. And I'm here with Art and Ellen Sanborn. Thank you for being with me again.
Oh, thank you for having us again.
Yes, last time we visited, we had the chance to talk about how God called you, both of you and your whole family, to be missionaries to Thailand. And also along the way, how you produced a wonderful musical called Judah Ben-Hur that we have enjoyed and got to be a small part of. But this time, I'd like to hear and let people know about your book, Walking Miracle, and how things aren't always that smooth on the road with Jesus. But you really are a walking miracle. So, Art, will you let us know how that happened?
Well, we were asked to come back to Kona and teach at a Crossroads DTS in Kona, Hawaii, at YWAM Kona. And this was December 1998. And since I was a young kid, I've always liked to surf, especially body surf. And so we got there a day early. We were just start speaking on a Monday, but on that Sunday before we started speaking, after church, we went to a place called Magic Sands, and I was surfing. And I caught a nice wave, and it was what they called a rogue wave. I've surfed my whole life, never heard of this before, but evidently Magic Sands is famous for them. It has you up in the air 7-8 feet, and then it disappears, and gravity hits, and then the next wave comes and makes sure you. So I slammed my neck into the sand, and I heard my neck go crack, and I thought, well, that's probably not a good sign. So I thought, well, I'm going to swim to the shore, but I found that I couldn't move anything, and I was face down in the water, and the high tide was taking me out. And I was praying, at first thoughts were coming in, you're going to drown, you're going to die, and that was causing anxiety, so I need to push those thoughts out. So I'll just count. So I was counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I got up to about 110, 111 Mississippis, and my body just said, I don't care what you breathe, but you got to breathe. And I tried to explain, no, we can't breathe, because if we do, it's going to be poisonous water. And so then I just lifted up a prayer, and I said, well, Father, unless you do a miracle, I can't hold my breath any longer. I'm just going to have to breathe. And when I breathed, at that very moment, an off-duty lifeguard rolled me over and noticed that I had a spinal cord injury, pulled me out, and held my neck in a vice-like grip until the ambulance arrived. The hospital in the Big Island, they said they couldn't do the surgery, that it had to be done in one of the major hospitals in Honolulu. So they air-vac'd me over to Honolulu. They had assigned my case to a very still in training, inexperienced surgeon. But the chairman of the department happened to be there, and he heard that I was a YWAM missionary, and he had given orders that he's not doing any surgeries for a month. But when he heard that I was a YWAMer, he said, okay, got him. 1 surgery, then we're out of here. So he took over my case. And I evidently had a disease in which the protection around the spinal cord, the bones protecting the spinal cord, is a 14 millimeter space, but it started to ossify, and it was only a 4 millimeter space, where C3, C4, where my spine was severed. And he said, you would have become a quadriplegic, but since you're not Asian, we would have never known why. It just so happens this man is one of the world's renowned experts of this very rare disease. And so he was able to rid me of the disease. And he said, well, now you're a quadriplegic, but we know why you're a quadriplegic. He says, your injury is very similar to Christopher Reeve's. So he said, the right side of your cord is 100% gone. You won't be able to get anything on the right side, but the left side, you still have about 10%. So you should be able to get around maybe in a power wheelchair. And so every day for a month, they would come and say, can you move your little finger on your left side? And I tried. There's nothing. But finally, one day, I moved my left index finger a little bit, And so now they said, well, now you can go to rehab. And at rehab, after a month without washing, they said that my hair couldn't be washed because of the stitches in my neck, and magic sand was still in my head, so it itched all the time. So it was so grateful that when I got to the rehab, they said, okay, now you can have a shower. So this occupation therapist lady, she took my clothes off, wheeled me into the shower room, and she said, okay, shower up. And I said, well, I'm kind of limited in what I can do. And I said, well, you want to see what I can do? And she said, yes. So she watches. I don't see you doing anything. And I said, yeah, that's what I can do, nothing. So then she showered me, and then they wheeled me into the psychiatrist's office, and the psychiatrist said, I interview all the quadriplegics that enter our hospital because I want to talk to you. Do you have thoughts of killing yourself, suicide? And I said, well, Dr. Hughes, I know where those thoughts come from, so I'm as a Christian, I will not entertain those thoughts, but can I ask you a question? And she said, sure. And I said, well, why do you even bother asking people like me? Because even if I wanted to commit suicide, I can't do anything. What am I going to do, hold my breath? And so anyway, after getting all this discouraging information, we were getting about 25 emails a day of people saying, we've heard about your injury and we're praying for you. And so here I am walking. So I wrote my book, Walking Miracle, which is the experience that I had in the hospital, plus miracles that Ellen and I and our kids I witnessed God perform. So that's what my book's about.
Yeah, I remember the one part where didn't you say to your doctor, in a year I'm going to take you on in basketball, and you did?
The physical therapist and some of the nurses, the male nurses, they play basketball. And so I told them I'm going to come back here and challenge you guys in a year. And they rolled their eyes. And they said, no way. But when I did, a year later, they wouldn't play me. And I said, why? And they said, if we play you and beat you, what are we going to brag? We just beat a quadriplegic in basketball. But what if you beat us? Oh, no, we're not playing you.
A little pride there, a little pride. But thankfully you had such a great team and this prayer warrior wife, and I'm sure it was thousands praying for you.
They were there for me.
And your kids were there for you. That was not easy to watch your husband go through that and not know the outcome. How was it for you, Ellen?
Well, I think the hardest thing for me was just watching him suffer. He'd always been such a good athlete, and just would celebrate life with sports and running and trekking up to the villages, and had, just one of his ways of celebrating life. And to watch him be humiliated and other things that would happen to him in the hospital and things, and just watching him, basically from below the neck, he couldn't do anything. And your imagination can take you what that means. I mean, it means that means other people have to do everything for you, and which can be embarrassing and humiliating. But it was amazing to watch him because his joy was just astounding. He was just joyful. And he was just like, well, the Lord can heal me if he wants to, or if he wants me to be in this wheelchair, maybe like Johnny Erickson Tata, I can be an amazing witness for God in the wheelchair. And he said, but he would reason with God and say, now, Lord, I don't think anybody could do as good a job as Johnny Erickson Tata. And glorifying you from a wheelchair, but maybe you'd like to do something different with me. And so it was amazing. So we would just continue to pray and to serve him, but bit by bit as he would get things back, it was just incredible. And we'd go, oh wow, he can do that now. Oh, he can stand up. Oh, now we need to imagine the next thing that he can do, or we need to not imagine so much as pray for the next thing. And even simple things like learning to eat, because it wasn't like it came back. Everything as God began to remake his spinal cord, as God began to reweave and connect his brain with the rest of his body, it was like he was a newborn baby. His body didn't know how to eat. His body didn't know how to walk. His body didn't know how to do any of these things. And so but now he's a grown man trying to do these things. And so even something as simple as, taking a spoon and getting the food and putting it in your mouth, when he tells this story, everybody's laughing because he describes what it's like to have food on his head and food in his eye and food everywhere, trying to develop that perception
Food everywhere, but still so hungry.
Poor guy. But what I loved too when we were with you in Thailand, because everyone you'd be around, you're still doing the work of the Lord, then they would still want to pray for you, of course. So we wanted to pray for you, and our team prayed for you. And I remember you saying, I'm starting to get a little feeling back again. Now, how did the doctors explain any of that?
Well, when I first started walking, I had no feeling. And my daughter was, she was the chief resident of internal medicine at University of Florida. So when we go to visit her colleagues would poke me with stuff and go, can you feel this? Can you feel that? No. And they said, how can you walk when you cannot feel? And I said, because I'm a Christian. And they said, what's that have to do with anything? Well, the Bible teaches us to walk by faith, not by feelings. But it was at your team that I started to feel, getting some feeling back. Because before, and even many years afterwards, I would have to check my body because I would cut myself and bruise myself and burn myself and not know it. And I had to make sure that I would take care of the wounds and not get them infected. But in those days, I could lean up against the fire and go, there's something burning. What is it? Oh, it's me.
Oh no, then you became really on fire for the Lord. Oh my goodness.
I had to be very careful to watch him as well, and to look and see. And I go, oh, honey, you're bleeding. He'd go, oh, I am? So he wouldn't know. And so it was probably, what would you say, at least 5 years before you had even 10% feeling in your legs. And then life got a lot easier. But I remember the first time we saw him driving.
Oh my.
Yeah, because he still couldn't feel his legs. But we said, hey, wait, isn't that Art driving away? Yeah, so.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
It wasn't an automatic, it was clutch. So I had to kind of look and see what I was doing because I didn't know where my feet were.
Oh, yeah, you are a risk taker and you are a challenge. This man will take any challenge. So I remember seeing this beautiful music video that you created too, and you're out on the beach singing. It's about a wonderful love. I mean, through that, your love, I suppose it could go either way. Somebody could give up on the spouse, or they could be courageous and have God's grace and love. And I just saw so much love pouring through you to Art, and both ways. Could you tell about that video that was so touching?
He's very easy to love. I've been so blessed. We met when we were kids, and we basically raised each other. I mean, honestly, we had so much to learn, and so much to learn about the Lord, and so much to learn about dying to self, and not being defensive, and being teachable, and being open, and recognizing that if I ever said anything to him, it was because I had his best interests at heart. It wasn't something to do with me, or vice versa. But we have been so blessed, and yes, we've had our share of struggles. Every couple does, but I'm just so grateful to be married to somebody who just values prayer, and who treats me like we've only just been married, just weeks. With that kind of romantic love. He's very romantic and very, bring me flowers or coffee, or so we've got this game we play. Okay, this game is called Out Kindnessing. Okay, so we try to teach people this game. What it's all about is that say I'll wake up in the morning and the first thing, Art will bring me coffee. And I'm like, you're out kindnessing me. And so I've got to jump up and go make him breakfast and bring him breakfast. He's like, oh no, you're out kindnessing me. So he rushes off and he checks on all the mail and the bills and does all the bills. And then I go, oh, you're out kindnessing me. And so I take care of all the business emails. And do you know what I'm saying? So it's always about, if people hear us arguing, they say it's usually because Art's saying, no, I'll take them to the airport. And I said, no, let me take him to the airport. It's fine. I don't mind. He says, no, you're too busy. I'm like, no, I'll take him to the airport. So it becomes the opposite. So if we're arguing, it's usually that because we're protecting the other person. Anyway, that's our game.
Oh, that's a great lesson, and we got to try that one at home for sure. I know a lot of people are already blessed by hearing all of this. So out of this great tragedy comes a miracle, a walking miracle, a book, a deeper love and commitment that you probably never knew you could walk in when you first got married. But you continued to pursue God and pursue missions even shortly after that happened, that accident. And so how has that impacted now? Do you see more miracles? Do you see greater passion for the Lord or discipling people and nations? What does that look like since your accident?
Well, it certainly has changed. I don't, to me before, the greatest thrill I ever had was to be the first Christian into a village and be the first one to share about Jesus. But now my passion is to raise up others to do that, and to see young men and women that were teenage kids or early 20s, and now they're leaders in Asia. And we're here more as a support. So when we bring outreach teams, we now put ourselves under their leadership and say, okay, you're the ones reaching the villages. Which one do you want us to help you with? And so it's just wonderful to see this group of kids that, well, I guess they're no longer kids. They're in their 40s now, and they're leaders, and we're there to support them. So our role is more of a pastoral mom and dad role than when we were originally pioneers.
We have these great adventures, and I'm glad our kids have been able to be a part of some of that. But I told my son the very thing on the way here, we need to also, and my husband, we need to pass that torch or that baton to this generation. This is their generation now, and they're going to help reach them. We have to help pull them up, raise them up, send them out, all of that. So I just appreciate everything you've done, and I just see the fruit of it. You can't even know, really. In the end, we can't really know till we get to be with Jesus and see face to face all the people who have come through your faithfulness, through your obedience to answer the call that God has on his life, and how you've become a mother and a father spiritually to so many people. Have you seen God working even miracles within the team and within the teams and within the kids that come for discipleship? Have you seen some great answers to prayer?
Yeah, we try to stay in touch with our students, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because, if you have a school of 17 and then they all go off in different directions, then the next school starts and you can get busy. But just this weekend, during the Send, 3 of our former students all got together and were just sharing with our present students about their experience during DTS and what God did in their lives and what he's continuing to do in their lives. And Aaron's now a worship leader up in St. Augustine, and Abigail is now a nurse, and she's really taking this as really important. Her mission field is this hospital where she is. She grew up as a missionary kid, but now she knows that this is her mission field. And so we continue to see those kinds of things. It's really exciting to be in this season, though, because we really feel like this new generation, God is doing something amazing in this generation. I know you're feeling it too, but we're seeing it. There's more challenge than ever before, I think, because there's so many distractions. But we really believe that this generation is going to finish the Great Commission, and we're just wanting to take them out to the unreached people groups. We want that to happen. This morning when Rob Francis was teaching, I was thinking, I want to sign up for a new people group. Well, we've not gone yet. I thought, okay, well, I'm not 29 anymore, but...
Yeah, I know that fires me up too, because you love the nations. You love the peoples of every nation. You can't help it. God, I didn't even want to go to Asia, but God just put this supernatural love in you. And by the time you get there, you're like, I love these people. I don't even want to leave. But then you go to the next place, and he's done that again and again. And you connect in a way that you just never knew, even with people that don't speak your language. We all love Jesus,
One of our students, in our DTS students in Singapore in 95, 96, went on. He was only about 18 or 19 at the time. He was from Burma. Myanmar is the new, and Peter went on to become quite the leader among Baptist missions, and now he is the leader of YWAM from Myanmar. And we were just speaking in their conference, their whole staff conference for their country just last year. It was so amazing to see all of these Myanmar, Burmese, and they were from so many different ethnic groups, Karen, many different ethnic groups, all there worshiping together. And we looked looked out on these sea of people, and we looked at Peter, and we remembered this 18-year-old kid, coming through our DTS. And so such a privilege to still, see what God's doing in his life. And we're like spiritual parents to him, which is a great privilege to us.
I'm so happy because my great answer to prayer is not only for Art to have feeling and to be even more restored, but for your son David, who we just loved and just had a great time with in Singapore. God just reconnected us, and I said, "Did you ever get married?" And he said, "No, not yet." And yeah, that's really been hard, And so I said, "Oh, no wonder God reconnected us. I need to pray for you because I just feel like I'm a spiritual midwife. And whenever God just brings me to people and I start praying, they get married. Wow. I don't even know the spouse, but God just brings them." So sure enough, a couple months later, I get this other text or whatever message. "I met someone, ... And I said, "Lord, what did you do?" I'm like, "What? How is it? Who is it? Well, how's it going?" And now you just got a new grandbaby, a new daughter-in-law, and now a new grandbaby. How exciting and how faithful God is. Isn't that a joy?
We have 3 amazing kids. Our oldest son, Sean, went on to, he was the kid, the missionary kid that's always, "Hey, Mom and Dad, look at the snake I found," kind of adventure, guy. And he went on to marry Anne from Australia, and they both had a passion for missions. So they were in Thailand for 12 years. And then a few years ago, they actually joined us here in Tampa to continue mentoring this next generation. They'll be with us in Thailand as well when we leave in April to go on outreach. And then our daughter Kayla she's also a mother of 2 kids, and she is a doctor and had always wanted to be a missionary doctor. Her life has not allowed that yet, but we're believing that God's got a season for her actually to be able to go and be in that situation, and especially for some place like Cambodia. And then our youngest son David is the one that you mentioned. He's the one who was a professional singer, actor, writer for many years, 20 years, supported himself just doing that and never having to compromise his faith at all, but being able to take King David to off-Broadway, and he's a youth pastor as well as still continuing to do radio programs for Focus on the Family and, Lamplighter Ministries and things like that. But yeah, he's just crazy about this new little baby. Now, for those of you who are single out there, he was 45 when he got married. And this is a really handsome, charming, lovely guy that everybody's crazy about. Mm-hmm. And yet God didn't have anyone for him until he was 45. She was 34 when they got married, and now they have just this wonderful little peaceful John David who's got an amazing destiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd just love to pray for you guys and your ministry and family. I thank you, Father, for these 40 years, but even before that, all the seeds that were planted to bring Art and Ellen to you and to bring them to the nations and to plant that seed, scatter that seed of your gospel, your word, your truth. The prophetic words that went out, they're all coming to life now and being fulfilled. And I just ask that you said the latter rain will be greater than the former, that we will see greater things. We will do greater things than even you did. So I'm just declaring that over Art and Ellen and over their family, over all their students, and over this great ministry of not just missions, but theater and using the arts to bring your gospel, not just to other nations, but to our nation as well, Lord, that you would continue to open new doors, new frontiers, new ways, oh God, that just fly over and above and out of the radar into outer space, just like there's no limit to what you can do, Father. And I just thank you that Art is a walking miracle, that you have healed him, that you continue to restore him and give him strength and energy beyond what most people his age even have. And that is a miracle and a testimony to you, Lord. Thank you for Ellen, a faithful wife and mother of many, even nations, Lord. So I just bless this ministry. I bless this couple. And I thank you for our friendship and our time together, Lord. Use us all before you're coming in an even greater way. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for rising and shining to his glory.
You've been listening to Rise and Shine with Jolene Merrick. We'd love to hear how this program has impacted you. Visit our website at sonriseproductions.com. That's SONRISE Productions.com under the tab Rise and Shine Radio Show. You can also order a CD or MP3 file of today's show by visiting the Store tab on the website. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed week.